It was a blistering July afternoon when I got the letter, one of those crisp, passive-aggressive notes from the HOA slipped into my mailbox like a venomous snake. Your backyard shade tent is in violation of Section 3.2.1 Unauthorized Structures. It read, signed by none other than Karen Mitchell, the self-appointed queen of Sunnyvale Estates. My cheap little pop-up tent, the one I'd tossed up to keep my kids from frying in the sun, was apparently an eyesore. I stood there, sweating through my t-shirt, staring at the flimsy blue canopy that had been our summer salvation. Karen, with her perfectly manicured lawn and her nosy binoculars, had decided it was her mission to ruin my vibe. I wasn't just annoyed, I was pissed. This wasn't about a tent. This was about control. About her flexing her HOA clipboard like a dictator in yoga pants. I crumpled the letter, tossed it in the trash, and started plotting. Nobody tells me how to live in my own damn backyard. Sunnyvale Estates is one of those cookie-cutter subdivisions where every house looks like it was spat out of the same beige mold. I'd moved here 2 years ago with my wife, Lisa, and our 2 kids, thinking it'd be a nice, quiet place to raise a family. Big mistake. The HOA runs this place like it's a military base, and Karen's the general. She's in her late 50s, with a blonde bob so sharp it could cut glass, and a habit of patrolling the neighborhood with her little notebook. Last month, she fined the Hendersons for leaving their trash cans out an hour past curfew. The month before, she reported Old Man Jenkins for his unapproved rose trellis. My shade tent, just the latest casualty in her war on fun. Lisa warned me to let it go, said Karen wasn't worth the headache. But I'm not built like that. I'm a software engineer, not a pushover. I fix problems for a living, and Karen was about to become a problem I'd solve with style. The tent came down the next day, but not because I was giving in. Oh, no. I spent hours researching HOA bylaws, scrolling through Reddit threads about petty revenge, and sipping my coffee while dreaming up something big. The rules said no temporary structures like tents, but permanent installations. Fair game, as long as they met county codes. That's when I found it a motorized pergola. Sleek, modern, with retractable drapes and a price tag that made Lisa choke on her wine. "You're insane," she said, but I saw the glint in her eye. She hated Karen as much as I did. So, I called up a contractor buddy, pulled some permits, and got to work. If Karen wanted to play lawn police, I'd give her something to really cry about. The pergola went up in a week. A 20-foot beauty of powder-coated steel and cedar, with motorized shades that whispered open and closed with a remote. It was glorious, like something out of a home design magazine, and it shaded half my backyard without breaking a single HOA rule. I added string lights, a fire pit, and a little Bluetooth speaker system for good measure. The kids loved it. Lisa called it my midlife crisis project. But Karen lost her mind. I was out there sipping a beer, watching the drapes glide shut, when she stormed over, her face redder than a stop sign. "This is an outrage," she screeched, waving her notebook like a weapon. "You can't just build whatever you want?" I leaned back in my chair, hit the remote to open the shades again, and said, "Actually, Karen, I checked the bylaws. This baby's 100% legit." She sputtered, called it gaudy, and threatened to call an emergency HOA meeting. I just smiled and offered her a beer. She didn't take it. The real fun started when I noticed her spying from her window, binoculars glinting in the sun. That's when I got creative. I borrowed a can of red spray paint from my neighbor and made a sign, "Shady Business." I propped it against the pergola, right where Karen could see it from her kitchen. Petty, sure. Satisfying. You bet your ass. She called the HOA president, some guy named Ted who's terrified of her, and demanded a hearing. I showed up with my permit, a copy of the bylaws, and a grin that could have lit up the room. Karen ranted for 20 minutes about neighborhood aesthetics while I sipped my coffee and nodded like I cared. The board ruled in my favor unanimously. Turns out, even Ted was sick of her crap. But I wasn't done. The twist came when I found out Karen had been sneaking photos of my backyard to document my violations. A buddy in the neighborhood tipped me off. She'd been emailing them to the board, trying to build a case. That's when I decided to go full scorched earth. I bought a cheap security camera, pointed it at her house, and started recording every time she stepped onto my property line. I caught her measuring my grass one day. Swear to God, she had a ruler. I edited the footage into a little montage, set it to some cheesy spy music, and accidentally sent it to the neighborhood group chat. The subject line: keeping Sunnyvale safe. One lawn at a time. The chat blew up. People were laughing, memeing. Even old man Jenkins chimed in with a "go get 'em." Karen was humiliated, and for once, she stayed quiet. The aftermath was sweet. Karen stopped patrolling my street. My pergola became the talk of the neighborhood. Folks started dropping by to check it out, and I hosted a barbecue just to rub it in. The kids ran around under the drapes. Lisa mixed margaritas, and I felt like a king in my castle. The sign stayed up for a week until Lisa made me take it down so we didn't poke the bear too much. Karen's still out there, probably plotting her comeback. But for now, I've got my shade, my beer, and my victory. Sometimes, you don't just win, you win big. So, what do you think? Was I a genius or just a jerk with too much time on his hands? Drop your take in the comments. I'm curious to hear if you'd have gone as hard as I did or played it safe with the HOA dragon. The end.